Hi everybody, this is Doug at Jam & J Auto and Tire in St. Louis, Missouri. Just wanted to touch base with you today on a common problem that we're seeing on today's cars. And what we're going to do is we're going to educate you just a little bit on how these new cars actually start consuming oil. So what I have right here is a drip tray, and if you notice how dirty and black that oil is. The fact is, if I pour clean oil in this car right now and drain it right back out without starting the engine, it's going to come back out looking just as black. So what we want to do is we want to clean the inside of this engine before we pour the new oil in. Now, this is a piston. This is going to go up and down inside of the cylinder, and as you can see, it has these piston rings that actually seal it to the cylinder. What we're finding on today's cars is these piston rings are getting locked up. If you notice on top, this is carbon. Anytime we burn fuel, it leaves behind black carbon. Well, in the old days, these cars ran what was called a high tension or heavy duty piston ring. But over the years, these piston rings are getting smaller and even smaller. The problem is this old piston ring had no problem with this carbon. These new ones are now getting locked or clogged up in their piston ring lands. What happens when this does this is this car will very systematically use its own oil and do it very quickly. We typically see this out of any car made in the last 5, 7, maybe 8 years. And this is a situation where these things will burn their oil very quickly, maybe around 70, 80,000 miles. So this is an epidemic. What we recommend doing on these newer cars, because of these low tension piston rings, and what these are put in there for, just so you know, is for fuel economy. Less tension of these piston rings pushing out on the cylinder wall makes the car get better fuel economy, but it doesn't do anything for the customer when their car burns all of its oil and runs out of it and needs a new engine. What we do is what's called an EPR, MOA chemical treatment. This EPR is actually a carbon dissolver. We pour it in the oil, we let it run for a half an hour, and it dissolves carbon not only on top of the piston all over, but inside the piston rings and everywhere. And then at the end we add another can called MOA, which is motor oil additive, which is actually a cleaner and a little bit of a protector. This thing actually helps make the oil better inside the car. Recommend this every third oil change on any car that's been made in the last 5 to 7 years.